Welcome back.
Hello amazing people and welcome back on my YouTube channel. It's your boy Troll. In today's video we're gonna discuss about Chivalry. Yes, Chivalry. But why Chivalry? Simply lately I finished all the stages 10, so I started focusing on the adventure, and once you actually go into the adventure you're gonna start getting the Legendary Master Memory Stone. Oh my god, it's so long to pronounce. So we're gonna call them the Legendary Shards. So once you're gonna get your Legendary Shards, either from the adventure, or if you're strong enough and you start farming Hell Campaign and trying to push for 3 stars, like again, it's not that easy. As you can see from chapter 5, I basically stopped having 3 stars. And to be quite honest, chapter 10, I have no clue how this is even possible to 3 star. But regardless, let's say you're gonna start farming those legendary shards and you finally get to 20. As a reminder, you also get them from the arena every end of the season. But again, let's say you're gonna have 20. So the point of this video is to basically introduce you to my not top 3, top 5 whatsoever. I want to introduce you for what I think are game-changing chivalries. Which basically means if you get them, your account is boosted. If you get them, it means it actually unlocks some content that is kept behind the chivalry. Like honestly, I want to go through the chivalry that actually like you really want it. So from the moment you're gonna have your legendary shards, you wanna go for it. We're gonna start with some, good amazing picks, and then I will leave my top 1 for the very end. Now, as a disclaimer, I just want to make very sure I'm only gonna review the chivalry of the legendary heroes I own. Why? Simply because if you go into the codex and you want to review the chivalry of the hero you don't have, well, simply it's impossible. Now, why is it impossible? Well, because there's nothing to click, right? I can go here and reduce the chivalry, and I guess if I check spell by spell, passive by passive, I can then calculate if you get chivalry X this or that, and you get I can't. I can't. So as a FYI, I only gonna review the heroes I have, which means Gawain, Sergius and Florentius. I will not review the chivalry. They might be amazing, they might be game changing. I'm not saying no, I'm simply not gonna include them into the list. Which means we're gonna review Lot, Claudas, Merlin, Morgan, Gwyneth, Lancelot, Aine, Clarice, Jillian, Sigrun, Bedivere, and Tristan. But without any further ado, let's start with one of the best chivalries that I have in my mind. Now, first of all, let's start with Jillian. Her C3 makes this character completely broken. Not only she's the best heal in the game, but she's also the best controller in the game, which basically makes just her the support of the year, right? So her C3 will make the flexible diplomacy hits an additional time. If we look at flexible diplomacy, basically every time she heals, you have a 70% chance to increase the attack bar of an ally or your allies. Now, this one is already with C3, which means I still haven't leveled up fully the passive, which means there is 3 lines that you have 70% chance to either increase one random ally or allies by 30%, so you basically can 100% your whole team if you're lucky enough, obviously besides her. Now, to get to C3, you're also gonna go through recovery, which is amazing, and you're also gonna go through wave of life, which I think is a good addition, because whenever someone gets stunned, whenever someone gets an abnormal status, she will cleanse it, heal it, but now also apply abnormal status for 2 turns, which makes it even better for some bosses. So honestly, C3 through C1 is very good. Should you go beyond C3? Well, if you summon the hero, you don't really have a choice, right? I never ever would recommend to sell the pieces of your heroes, any sort of heroes, unless there are C10. However, C4 is only I don't recommend C4. The only reason why you need C4 is if you have 2 3-star gear, I guess, but simply with that effect accuracy set and a effect accuracy belt, you have way more than enough effect accuracy to basically defeat any stage 10 in this game. So personally, for me, it would be a waste unless it's for PvP. When it comes to PvP, obviously you want C10, so the further you go, the better it is for PvP. However, for PvE, which is bosses, dungeons, etc., C3 is where you want to be. You don't have to go beyond that. Then we're gonna have Tristan with his C1. Yes, his C1, which basically will change to when attacking, will make Starving Chakram very, very good. So if we go that Starving Chakram, when attacking, attack one enemy 4 times, total damage 184, cooldown 5 turns. This basically will help you so much, especially at the beginning with the boar. It will help you so much to basically farm Penvid and get those stones, awakening stones, to push your heroes to 5-6 stars. So especially early on, not late game, C1 Tristan is something that will make your life super easy. And if you're unlucky as me, where you're gonna have a Merlin banner or a Bedivere banner, and all you get is Tristan's, well, you're just gonna simply push him higher and higher, right? But in terms of PvE, I don't recommend more. If you have C1, that's enough. You're not gonna need more for sure. But his C1, depending where you are in the game, might be game changing, and you really want to maybe consider putting that one Chivalry skill up into Tristan at this point in the game. So the next mention will be Aine. However, the problem is it's gonna be mostly for PvP. So if we go and we check her C3, triggers Ancient's God Favor at the start of the battle. What does it mean? It basically means that you're gonna start the battle with counterattack trigger for 2 turns, which basically means your heroes will counterattack whenever they get attacked, which is really good because this goes hand to hand with basically C4. So whenever you counterattack, you use Torrent of Mana, and Torrent of Mana is basically a AoE. It's basically a AoE skill. Now the problem is cooldown for this one is 6 turns. However, for the counterattack, it's gonna be all the time. So Eternal Hatred, it's something new. It's not here, as you can see. There's no Eternal Hatred. It's gonna be just a buff. You won't be seeing it anywhere. It's gonna be only written here. But basically, whenever you have counterattack and you counterattack, instead of doing like a normal attack, she will do her passive to counterattack. So I truly believe she has a huge potential in PvP, and it can really destroy a lot of speed compositions, where you're gonna put her very tanky with some other nukers very tanky, and then someone comes with a Morgan, does a AoE, and everyone basically gonna counter and destroy Morgan, and one by one you're just gonna kill their team by them doing AoE on you. So honestly, I think that might be a game changer in terms of PvP, but again, in terms of PvE, I really do not recommend this champion at all. Now, if you don't have Bedivere or you don't have a good gear and you want to start farming the Fire Dragon and you want to build a Mark team, Sigrun C3 is almost impossible not to have if you want to farm stage 10. Basically, his Queen's Dignity becomes Queen's Counter, which all we want to remember from is increased duration of all mark effect inflicted on the enemy by 1 turn. And whenever you whenever you hit with spell 3, you're gonna already get Queen's Dignity for 3-4 turns, or 5, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and then it simply changes into Queen's Counter. So again, you go from 40% to 50% to have a higher chance to reflect the damage, to put a mark, and to increase the duration of the marks. So if you are actually running a mark team on Dragon 10, in order to pass him and farm him, C3 Sigrun gonna basically, change the game in terms of marks. Everything else is kinda meh. I mean, her C1 is obviously very good, but game changing, C3 for sure. Further after that, I'm gonna consider it as PvP only, because for me, Grand Self Queen counter for 2 turns is completely fucking broken in PvP. Having this without even casting spell 3 from the get-go in PvP, because obviously this was kind of useless against bosses when you have waves, etc. But in PvP, for sure, regardless of what you're gonna think about PvE, for PvP, her C8 is extremely strong. For PvE, her C3 might be a game changing for you depending on the team you run on the Fire Dragon. Now we're gonna go to my top one, and it's definitively not Bedivere. No, it's gonna be Morgan. Morgan C3 for me is the real game changer when it comes to all the stages of all the bosses. Her C3 is what makes something impossible possible. I'm not saying there's a lot of impossible scenarios, but okay, let's be fair. It makes a lot of difficult scenarios very easy, and the very few impossible makes them possible. But what is basically the Squall of Thorn? So it's a passive that will basically apply defense down and damage taken increase. But before that, it was if you do your skill 1. Now it's whenever you attack, and obviously skills are how you attack in this game. So whenever you use any sort of skill, every third turn, you're gonna inflict defense decrease and damage taken increase. Now, as a disclaimer, this doesn't work with the AoE, which means you're gonna apply this on the target you click with when you're about to cast the AoE spell. However, when you're fighting a boss, it doesn't matter. There's only one enemy that you want to click on anyway. So this is for me extremely, extremely strong. However, to get to C3, you're gonna go through the Malignant Vortex attack gauge reduction plus 15%, which is again an insane addition to your PvE kit and even PvP, to be quite honest. What is it? When using skill 2, reduce target's attack bar by 45, okay, 35 if not skilled up, and remove 2 buffs from the target. If you have skilled up, it's only 2 turns, which basically means now whenever you're gonna do skill 2, you're gonna decrease the shit ton of attack bar from the enemies, and then on top of that, you're also gonna apply defense decrease and damage taken increase to the target every third turn, which makes her an amazing addition for all the late game bosses. Should you go higher and higher? Not really, because C4 is rarely used, like not against any boss you can use it. Maybe in the campaign to help you 3-star specific stages or in PvP, but definitely this is useless for endgame PvE. However, her C5 is also very, very good, but it's gonna be basically all about the attack speed plus 20. I think when it comes to endgame, especially PvP, it's all gonna be about who's the faster one, and 20 attack speed is definitely there. However, if someone gets C9, well, you can't compete, right? So C5 is very good. Now her C8, unfortunately, how it works, on paper it's insane because damage taken increased 50%. The problem is how you get it, and you simply get it when you go below 50%, which you don't want to do, right? We do not want to go below 50%. We do not want to lose HP or basically go into the direction of dying or taking damage. So her C8, unfortunately, is not that great. If they change it to something else that lower than 50%, like I know above 50% or stuff like that, this will become, oh my god, completely broken, right? But yeah, guys, this is my top picks when it comes of game-changing chivalry. Let me know what do you think, if you would have added something. Again, I'm not talking about good to have. As an example, Bedivere is good to have, but it's not game-changing. You're just gonna do more damage, but it's not gonna unlock possibly something for you, right? So keep that in mind, please, when you leave a comment. Anyway, guys, I hope this video helped you in a way, and I will see you in the next video. So make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and have a nice evening, morning, afternoon. Ciao.